Welcome to the Female CEO podcast, hosted by Mark Sefton. You may know her name, but do you know her story? This podcast takes you behind the titles and into the moments that shape some of today's most inspiring women. We explore the paths they've taken, the businesses they've built, and how they've created success on their own terms. Created by the Female CEO Create, Evolve, Overcome, these are honest, human conversations, rooted in real experience. Let the journey begin.
Welcome to the Female CEO podcast. Today I am joined by a woman who is redefining the very essence of leadership through a lens that most of us have never considered. Lotta Spjut is a behavioral leadership expert and the founder of Lotta Dog PT, where she understands that the way we regulate ourselves shapes every relationship we lead, whether that's in the boardroom, in our homes, or at the end of a leash. Lotta is currently evolving her business into a powerful framework of behavioral science and emotional intelligence, proving that leadership isn't about dominance, it's about relational safety and self-awareness. Lotta, I've been so looking forward to this for quite a while now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mark. And it's really a pleasure and honor to be here with you. And I'm looking forward to have this time with you.
Me too. Obviously, we're no strangers to each other. We've had several conversations before. And like with anything, I feel like, life is a lot about evolvement. It's a lot about continuing to expand and to grow. And you've done a lot of this, through the times we've spoken, you've had lots of variety, lots of progression. Is that something for you that you really feed off, that you need to keep expanding, evolving and changing in the way that you approach life?
Yeah, I think that's a part of me. Maybe a little bit less now when I when I get older. But I always had the curiosity to learn more, because I think that without finding and learning, you're stopping yourself in development. And I think that that's the main thing. You want to keep develop, and you want to get more experience. And by I think also when you sometimes I have taking steps out into something that I have almost no clue about. And some people then think that you're so crazy. How can you do that? You've never done that before. And for me, it's about, everyone is new when you start with something. And that's not, I'm not afraid for trying new things, because I think that's a part also where I can learn the most and meet new people that I can learn from, that is in one specific area that I have not so much knowledge, maybe not any knowledge at all. And that's such an exciting journey. And I think also where I grow the most, because it's all about growth. And but with the years, I'm not. When I was younger, I really wanted to test and learn and grow in as many areas as possible. But today I still have it. But I hear from my daughters that they are happy that I'm I'm not I'm not finding everything so exciting, even if I do, but I'm not jumping into it like I did before. Jumping and jumping, but yeah. So I think that's growth, and it's about learning in life for me. And if I don't develop and I don't learn, I stop growing, and that should be so boring.
I I agree. We have to keep evolving, growing, expanding, having
Yeah.
adventures. Mm. Lotta, you've mentioned that true leadership begins with self-leadership. For
Mm.
high-performing CEOs who are used to controlling environments and spreadsheets, why is that internal self-regulation actually the most powerful tool that we have in our leadership toolkit?
Um, yeah, because if I met a lot of people with high self-esteem and low self-esteem, and some people think that they are not leaders at all. And I used to say to especially women that I meet that you are already a leader if you lead, for example, if you have kids, you lead your kids by example. If you have a house, you have so many different roles, and many of these roles are connected to leadership. But I think that for many people, leadership is maybe a little bit strong or bad word. I can see it especially now in the dog industry. Um, but leadership has so many different. It depends what are your picture of a leader, and for me, leadership is never about being a boss or um, being the one telling the other people or dogs or whatever it is to do something. I think leadership is about it's never about authority or control. It's about responsibility, emotional awareness. It's about communication, boundaries, and also to create trust between each other. So a true leader creates clarity, in my opinion, and
Mm.
also the conditions for others to grow. So as you also said, I used to say that whether you lead a team or you lead a business or you lead a dog, it always comes back to your own state and how you show up. And if you are not showing up, and if you can't really believe in yourself, because that's natural. Many people have not the belief in yourself when they start, but I think with the right people around you, and you can grow it because you have the leadership within you. So it starts with ourself, because it's you can say something, but if you don't really mean it, or you just say it to say it, I mean, other people will feel this, and that will also make it tougher for you to get people to want to follow you in the way that they want to have not only advice but want to work with you. I think so. It's really important that we think about how am I leading myself, because in the end of the day it will be a tough thing to lead other people, in the meaning that inside a relationship, if you really can't lead yourself. And that's a process, I think. As I said, even if I know I can I can lead myself, that's also grow part. I'm growing the whole time in my own leadership too. So it's not like, okay, now I'm a ready leader. And the self leadership and the self awareness is something we work with every day for our whole life, I believe.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I think that's the most important part when it comes to leadership overall. It's about um, we learn we
Mm.
learn ourselves, and we change every relationship too, I think, that we are part of, if we are growing and really working on our own leadership first.
Mm.
um,
I think
yeah,
I think you're right, Lotta,
long
when it
answer.
comes to I think you're absolutely right when it comes to defining what leadership is. And of course, you said at the start that we may all have varying degrees of what leadership means to us. And
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think that for me, a leader likes people. So if I think about self-leadership, I think about, do I like myself?
Yeah,
And
that's
what is my relationship like with me, especially around self-love? And they say the highest form of self-love is self-acceptance.
yeah.
So it's almost like the better relationship we have with ourselves, the better leader we're going to be.
Absolutely. I fully agree. You can't cheat yourself, maybe for a while, but not the whole life, because you're living with yourself your whole life. I mean, that's the person you're getting closest to. So no, that's super true. I really agree with you on this one.
I'm really fascinated by this work that you're doing with dogs. You know, you've got your new business that you're really working with, Lotta Dog PT. This is something that really fascinated me, and one of the things I was fascinated about when it came to like this conversation that I was going to have with you. You often say that the dog becomes the feedback loop for how regulated and clear a leader actually is. And when you're working with a dog owner, how do you help them realize that the behavioral issues they see in their dog are often just the mirror of their own internal state? Because I find that really fascinating.
Yeah, it was also very fascinating for me when I realized this, because this really started with my dog that I got for 3 years ago. And as I have been working with the humans, with leadership, and about emotional intelligence and so on for many years, uh, I never thought about how much I know, how much we are um, like reflecting, or when it comes human to human. But I didn't understand it was so strong when it comes for humans and dogs, and for dogs to humans. So uh, my dog, then, he was very calm in the beginning. When he around 11 months, he started then to reacting to certain environments, some dogs and some different situations. And that came like not a shock, but because he was so calm before, it was like, what is happening now? And he's a big dog. So I felt that I started to be anxious when I went out. What if he would bark at that person or that dog? And I felt that I started to change my own mindset. I was not that confident or comfortable when I went out, and I started to like, when I saw a dog coming, I shorten the the
The lead?
collar, lead,
Yeah.
exactly, the lead. And I was like very stiff in my body, and I could then see that the more I was reacting like this, the more my dog was actually also reacting. So the more I anticipated challenges and did this shorten lead, and I think that unconsciously I communicated stress to him, my stress into him, and then he responded on it. So it was really a powerful confirmation that the nervous system of us, the human, directly influenced the nervous system of the other end of the leash, in this case, the dog. So this relation really became transformational for me to see. And then it also then made me want to understand this on a deeper level, not just for him, but especially for me and our relationship. So that's when I really felt that I started to study and learn more about the behavior behind the behavior, you might say, like this.
Right.
So And now it's clear. The more I have learned about it, it's so clear that I see how my nervous system is really applying directly on him. And you told me a story before about how a female dog actually supported you when you was a bit feeling afraid for another dog. And that's also how they are feeling us and our nervous system. So it's so clear. So that's also why I say I'm not working with dogs only. I more working with human that is having the dog, because the biggest changes can be when we understand ourselves and why we behave in a certain way, and that's could be some of the reason why the dog is behaving in a certain way. So yeah, it's super fascinating, and I really I have so much more to learn, but I get more and more excited the more I learn about it and the more I understand myself. So I think the biggest thing with the challenges we have had when it comes to my dog and me, it's that I have learned so many new things about myself, um, like my own nervous system. I thought I had pretty good uh, control over my own nervous system. Um, but if I just take an example, I used to speak for quite big audiences, and many people, for them it's their biggest fear to actually speak for in front of other people. But I never have been afraid for it or felt really uncomfortable. But of course, the more you do something, the more you also feel confident and comfortable with it. So it's not at all a thing for me. But then when I was going to have my first competition with my dog. And when I have done competitions only for me, I have also been not at all like nervous. But when I went out to this area where we were going to have this competition, even before I went there in the car, and even the night before, I was like, I didn't recognize what was happening to me, because I wasn't used to that feeling to like, be nervous like that. So that also, I understood that I need to do something about this, because otherwise we cannot do the competition, not because my dog cannot do it, but because I'm actually spoiling the whole thing because of my nervosity for these kind of new things. So I yeah, it was a new thing for me to get this feeling. But now I understand that that's a part of it. So I'm grateful and thankful for for having it, so I can learn about it and more work with myself when it comes to this.
Yeah, it's interesting, the nervous system, because
Yeah.
it doesn't just affect us, it also affects those we're connected with. So I like the fact that you reflected on the fact that unconsciously your stress was causing Echo, your dog, to react, right?
Mm.
Um, how did you then kind of move beyond that? What did you do to shift your nervous system, which then translated into Echo being more calm and less reactive?
Mm. Uh, no, I when I understood that I'm a huge part of him having these reactions, um, I went back and I was thinking about, okay, am I usually working when it comes to the nervous system, and when I'm working with myself and when I'm working with other people? Well, I need to really have the real calm, not only saying I'm calm, or because especially for a dog, you cannot pretend this. They feel if you're just showing, but inside you are still like very nervous. So for me, it was about starting to go back to um, breathing exercises. That was a huge thing for me to, and also to be in the state of mind before I went out. So not only when I saw a dog or saw something that I thought he would react to, I needed to start to calm before we went outside the door, so that I did my breathing. I was calm before I put it on the collar on him, and made sure that he was also calm. So I wasn't stressed, and we stressed out of the door, and he was like looking for something directly. So it started much earlier. Like most things, when it comes to working with ourselves, it's not only in the situation we need to work. We need to start, be proactive, and start much earlier. So that was what we started with. I had a routine for before we went out of the door, and then also really working and thinking about, how is my body language? Is my shoulders up here, or and of course using the breathe techniques that helped a lot. So step by step, it didn't have happened after 1 or 2 walks, but step by step. Also Echo felt that, okay, we have a totally different, my mom now, she has control, because that was what he felt I didn't have before. I didn't have a control, and he's a Rottweiler, so I know he has guarding as in his mindset. And if I was too nervous, he was feeling that, okay, she doesn't have any control at all, or knows what's happening, so I need to take the control. But when he felt that, okay, now she has control, I can relax, it was a totally different thing.
I love that. I can totally see how it translates into our human relationships and the relationship between a human and a dog. I do find it really fascinating. I think the challenge for all of us is that we all have a nervous system. And I feel like there's a lot of awareness being drawn to our nervous system. And there's probably many different modalities and different ways to regulate our nervous system, from cold plunges to breathing to, other modalities like ayahuasca or whatever it is. There's lots of different ways to kind of get into this space. So it is very interesting. One thing I wanted to ask you is, you talk about the leash as a metaphor for nervous system leadership. In a high stakes boardroom or a tense team meeting, what can a leader learn from the end of the leash about providing safety and clarity for those they lead?
I think it's not as complicated as we sometimes think it is. It's about what I also spoke a little bit about before, that when it comes to me as the leader, and I mean, it's also at the same time, because I can also sometimes get the question, or also the comments that, okay, but if it's so much about the behavior and about how you are against the dog, you are using a lot of, like I do with humans also, in the leadership. What do you say now? You applaud, and when something is good, you say, very good done. That's very good. And but you don't say it the whole time. Very good, very good, very good. If you don't really mean it, you want to help the person to grow and be strong, but you need a cherish to reach that. You cannot only hear that, oh, that's wrong, that's the wrong move, or the whole time, because then you will lose really in the relationship.
Yes.
and also if you're always like yelling at the person that I actually because when I often speak about this, people have some people have difficulties to understand because they think that, okay, a dog is a dog, it's not a human being. And I said, that's true, but it does, in many ways we are not similar to dogs, but in many ways we are also very similar when it comes to our nervous system, when it comes to how leadership can actually make a difference. Because if for some of the dog people, it's leadership is about when you are the leader in that this side of the lead and the dog is there, it's about them knowing who is in charge. So that means that you could even use the lead even if it's only for a picture, but the lead is like how you control the dog. And leadership for them is about having control. You are the leader, you should show it. The dog should obey you because you are the alpha, so that's how it should be, and that's the only way that this dog can learn. It's about you telling them you can't do this and you should do it, so he really understands it at the first time. I mean, there are leaders in the human world that is also having this attitude, but I think not so many anymore, because you don't get the people with you. And if a person is afraid of you, it could be on any working space, that will never be a good work situation in the end. As soon as this person has the possibility, he will turn away from you because he's afraid. Same thing with dogs. You can get the dog to do most things and to break a reactivity or whatever, but next time it will be there again because the dog is only doing it because he's afraid, not because he understands. And for the dog to understand and for us to understand, we need to see what are the feelings behind, not only the behavior. What are, if you can change the feelings, and that goes for both people and for dogs, that could change the behavior in the long term. If you only move to the behavior and you like punish the behavior, yeah, maybe the behavior will stop at that time, but the dog don't understand why, and the next time this situation is happening again, it will be the same thing. That's why I think the who is leading the lead will have so much like power for how the other person or dog on the other side of the lead will actually have the growth, if it will be changing their behavior or only changing the behavior for this moment. If you change the feelings, you will change the behavior long term. If you only change the behavior for now, you will have the same thing and maybe even stronger next time. So yeah, I don't know now, Mark. Did I answer your
You
question?
did. You did. The one thing I wanted to pick up on was I'm glad that you talked about alpha, and obviously, you know, we know that dogs work in packs, and so, you know, you're very much in Echo's pack, and he's very much in yours. You know, and I love this idea of, you know, he's responding to the effectiveness or the dysfunctionality of your leadership and of your nervous system, and I love that. There seems to be a big difference between being an alpha and having relational intelligence. You know, we talk a lot about emotional intelligence, but relational intelligence, why is the old school model of dominance now starting to fall away? And what does a more maybe feminine, psychological, grounded approach to leadership look like in your world?
Yeah. I think that today it's we are in a time when we are getting more understanding, because there are so much research and studies around leadership, and now I'm thinking especially around dogs. Then I think we have become a much longer way when it comes to leadership and understanding, when it comes to humans to humans. But I can see also that it's changing in the dog industry and within the dogs, but it's so much black or white. It's either this side or that side, and nothing is either this or that. Yeah, maybe some things, but when it comes to relationships and to grow, it's never this or that.
Mm.
It's finding
What
something here,
mentions?
finding something there, and you create it. But I think when it comes to the old school alpha and so on, it's a little bit because there was a study from a very famous researcher, and he was studying wolves and wolf packs, and then he was actually doing his study out from how the wolf was working, and that's where the alpha was coming from. And still many people are using that, but he actually himself, he went out like, it's 20 years ago, 15, 20 years, said, I was totally wrong. It's not how dogs are working when it comes to leadership, not even wolves, because these wolves that he was studying was not in the wild. They was in not a zoo, but they was not wild wolves. And he
Yeah.
said, then it's different. Wild wolves don't have any alpha male on the top either, because that would create where they need to work together to be strong enough to all the dangers outside. So the same thing goes for when it comes for the alpha here. For people, I feel sad for it, because there are so many studies today, and I don't I don't even need a study to understand that if you are actually getting your dog to be afraid for you, that's why he is doing what you're telling him to do. What kind of relationship is that? That's the same thing for human to human. If you are afraid of something, you're doing like that person is saying just because you're afraid. It's not a healthy relationship, and you are not growing at all. So and it's not only about throwing like meatballs on the dogs either, because that's what many people think when it comes to the positive way of doing training, dog training. Yeah, but you think that everything will be fine if you just throw them a meatball, and it's not about that. I mean, if I am still unclear, if I'm inconsistent, if I'm stressed, if I create insecurity in the other part, uh, that will never be a good learning situation anyway, or a good leadership. But it's still about clear boundaries to create safety. And it's about consistency that builds trust, of course, and emotional awareness makes also, I think, the relationship more stable. So it's not about not having boundaries. It's not about never saying no, but as a leadership for humans, I believe that if you are doing it with the thinking that you help the person to grow and understand, that's a totally different thing than telling them to, if you don't do this, I will hit you with this stick. I mean, that's so,
Mm.
yeah. And it might take a little bit longer time for dogs to learn something new, because you need to work through their emotions to get to their behavior. But in the same time, you will get so much more back, because you will have a dog that is trusting you in all situations, not only the easy situations, but also when it comes to a situation where the dog needs your confidence and your help. So yeah, I think it's all about that. And I hope that in 5 years, mostly, there will be a better understanding between the different dog worlds, that it's not black and white. You need boundaries, especially for your safety. I mean, the dog might run over the road and get hit by a car, or you cannot have a dog running forward a person that this person might be afraid of dogs. It's not about this, but it's about finding a way that helps the dog to understand. So the dog helps me to understand a lot of things, but I also need to help the dog to understand that this is right in this situation. You can do this in this situation, but without understanding the why behind, it will be super difficult for the dog too. Same as for us people. If we just are told to do something and we don't really understand why I should do it, you will not have a really excited dog to do things.
Mm.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah.
many female founders struggle with the weight of responsibility, not just obviously female founders, but we all struggle with the weight of responsibility. It lands very differently between men and women. But you teach responsibility and boundaries every day through your work with dogs and animals.
Mm.
What is the one thing that dog training has taught you, Lotta, about setting boundaries that actually end up creating more freedom for us rather than less?
Yeah. I think that when it comes to, I think a lot now. I think, uh, but I'm still learning. So that's the reason also why I think a lot still. And I'm learning still. But when it comes to how the females are thinking, I also see that many times we have a different approach when it comes to leadership thinking for humans. And it's not that much difference when it comes to dogs or animals. I think we have maybe a little bit more of we bring in more feelings, and sometimes maybe too much feelings, because that's also something when it comes to dog training and dog behavior. You cannot put all the feelings inside. And you can't do that when it comes to humans either. You need to have a clear mindset about what is the goal, and who is that person in front of you. How can you help this dog or person grow mostly on this journey? And if it's too many feelings inside, you can actually have the opposite um, results. So but I prefer to have the feelings as a part of it. I think it's an important part of it for the learning to be faster and easier. Let me see if I can make an example. I worked with a lot of health clients before, and let's say now that you have a client that is it's the first time they are going to a gym. They know the basics a little bit, but you are the PT for this person, and it's the first time this it's a female coming to the gym, and you as the PT then say, okay, this is how we are going to do it. Here are the machines. I will show you fast how you are using these machines. You do like this, and now, okay, let's see. Now it's your turn. you can sit here and I want to see that you do the same thing as I did. And this woman is like, oh wow, I did see a little bit, but what did you say here? No, I have showed you now how you do it, let's see. And so the situation for this woman is that it's coming more feelings than for if it was a male coming into this. That should be like more, okay, I do like this. And if it is something that he's thinking about and want to ask about, he's not doing it. But the woman will do that. And the PT then is thinking that I have showed you once and that should be enough. And if you was staring at some other person on this gym during my explanation, I can't help it. So when this hour of PT is over, the woman feels like, oh, this isn't for me. I will not be here anymore. This was not my thing. If it's the opposite, that the PT is then, okay, what do you know since before? Okay, you are totally new to this. I will show you, and you ask me if there is something, and you will do the exercise, and I will help you if there is something during the time, and you get to cherish during the time. That's very good done. Okay, this you could do a little bit different, and so on. That would also make this woman feels that after this hour, wow, I didn't know everything. I still learning, but I will do this again because I think it was a great hour of exercise and training. And that's exactly the same thing for dogs. If you are the one, the trainer, I will not say often males, but at least before it was often males that was the one, do this, do that. And the dog has no understanding what to do because the dogs are not speaking our language. You need to show them step by step. And that needs to be done from the handler, the owner of the dog. And if the handler and the dog owner don't understand it, I need to break this down, because if I say sit and this dog has never learned to sit, that's only like, what are you telling me? I'm not speaking English or not speaking Swedish. They don't understand. You need to show them step by step. But I think most often we are so in a hurry. We see the end picture that this is how I want it to look like. And I see the social media and I see the Instagram and everyone is doing this and that. And I will also do that. But they don't see that it's a journey before you even get this sit or whatever it is. You need to break it down. And if you are not breaking it down as the leader, you are not helping. You are doing the opposite. You need to have the plan very long term. And I think that's the biggest challenge we see also in the dog world, that we are in such a hurry and we compare so much to others, and we are yelling at the dog because he can do it. He did this at home. I know he can do it. But suddenly you are doing this exercise in a park with a lot of people, a lot of dogs. You cannot expect the dog, even if he knows this move, to do it in that environment, because you haven't learned it and went through it step by step. And that's, I think, but there, I think we are having a little bit better understanding as a female than as a male because of our attitudes. But of course, I'm not telling that every female is like this or every male is like that, because that's not how it is either. But overall, I can see that it's more hands-on when it comes to men, maybe more than when it comes to females. But it's also important not to involve too much of the feelings. It needs to be a balance. So I think that the best thing is to take men and women then, and that will be the really great way of leadership, because you have both sides. You need boundaries and not too much feelings, but you need feelings. and not too strict orders.
Mm.
Yeah.
Lotta, it's been really fascinating. I honestly feel like we could probably talk for hours and hours about this.
Yeah.
Because I just love the correlation. And, in the UK, people in particular in the UK, people are obsessed with dogs.
Yeah.
And I always find it really interesting anyway, like why some people are really connected to a dog or a cat or an animal more than they are to a human being, and my reflection often is the fact that emotionally they can't hurt us, and a lot of our pain and trauma and dysregulation of our nervous system really comes from emotional unavailability or emotional distress.
Mm.
And the fact that we don't have, a dog doesn't look at you and say, you look fat in that dress,
Yeah.
or a cat doesn't say, your breath stinks or whatever it is. I find that that's really a fascinating thing. So this idea of creating leadership, utilizing, the relationship between a dog and a human being, I find it so fascinating. It's been really good.
Thank you. Yeah, it is fascinating, and as I said, I get not maybe super excited every day when I'm learning new, but I really get excited because there are so many new things when it comes to me and my thinking and my mindset that gets okay,
Mm.
it's like this. I need to understand this for actually being a better leader for my dog.
Yeah.
I need to lead myself first,
Mm.
my own self-regulation and awareness.
And that's
Yeah.
the challenge for all of us. How do people find out more about you and your business?
Yeah, I have my homepage that's in both English and Swedish, and then I have just opened up my my accounts for my more directly for the dog business. But I do also have an Instagram where it's about my business, the leadership and the awareness and dogs. So it's both for humans and dogs. And that's Lotta Spjut Business. And that's the same on Facebook too. So it's still, I'm still working on these parts with the social media. I right now focus mostly on working hand on hand with the people. But
Amazing.
it's coming some online educations too, when it comes to working with us ourselves to be able to then work together with our dogs.
Fantastic. Lotta, it's been great to have you on the Female CEO podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here, as always.
You've been listening to the Female CEO podcast, created by the Female CEO Create, Evolve, Overcome. This podcast amplifies women's voices, stories, and lived experience. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on our YouTube channel, and discover more at thefemaleceo.com.